You were lying on a bed of dry grass at the back of a cave. Outside, rain has been falling for 6 days straight. The fire that kept your family warm last night is now a cold, wet pile of ash. Your feet are numb. Your stomach is empty. Somewhere past the cave mouth, a stream that used to be small now roars loud enough to hear over the rain. This kind of week happened again and again to early humans, on every continent where people lived. So, what did they actually do when the rain refused to stop? Did they just sit and wait? Or did the bad weather force them to figure something out? To understand why rain was such a problem, you first need to understand how much early humans had already built. Most animals do not need much from the weather. A monkey gets wet, shakes off, and finds a dry branch. Humans had built something bigger. A whole system of fire, tools, stored food, and shared shelter. Every piece of that system could be wrecked by water. The more people had built, the more the rain had to break. Fire was the weakest link. At Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, researchers found signs that people were burning fires deep underground, almost 1,000,000 years ago. Later sites show hearths turning up again and again. Proof that fire had become something families relied on every single day, for warmth, for cooking, and for keeping predators at bay. A week of steady rain could soak the firewood, choke a weak flame with smoke, and leave a family sitting in the dark with no way to cook or get warm. Hunting fell apart just as fast. A hunting party normally tracked animals by footprints, broken branches, and fresh droppings. Heavy rain erased all of it within hours. Tracks turned into puddles, and small streams grew into rivers nobody could safely cross. Even a successful hunt brought a new headache, because meat spoils quickly in warm, wet air, and there was no way to cool it down. Gathering was not much easier. Roots and tubers were still there under the mud, but digging through soaked, heavy soil took more energy for less food. One slip on wet ground could mean a twisted ankle, and in the Ice Age, a twisted ankle was not a minor setback. There was no clinic nearby and no crutch to lean on. It could be the start of something much worse. So people pulled back into caves, rock ledges, or shelters built from branches and hide. But calling it staying dry is generous. Wind drove rain sideways through open entrances. Water crept in under the bedding, and smoke had nowhere to escape because the same walls that kept out the rain also trapped the smoke inside. If this kind of history is your thing, hit subscribe because it gets stranger from here. Being stuck inside for days did not mean people just sat around waiting. Archaeologists cannot label a layer of dirt day 4 of the storm, but they can study what people were doing around their fires, and the pattern is clear. Around hearths, researchers find piles of broken stone flakes left behind by people sharpening tools. A storm that stopped the hunt did not stop the work. Damaged spear points got repaired. Dull blades got a new edge. Whatever the group would need for the next hunt got prepared before anyone stepped back outside. At Blombos Cave, also in South Africa, archaeologists found something more surprising. Kits for grinding red ochre, dating back roughly 100,000 years, with the ground pigment stored inside abalone shells. Nobody knows exactly what it was used for. Maybe it decorated skin, maybe it treated hides, maybe it carried some meaning we can no longer read. Whatever the answer, making it took planning, and that kind of slow, careful work fits the long hours of a storm. There is also the string. At Abri-du-Maras in France, scientists found tiny twisted plant fibers stuck to a stone tool, proof that Neanderthals were making cord tens of thousands of years ago. That sounds simple until you try it yourself. You need to choose the right plant fibers, separate them, and twist the strands in the opposite direction so the whole cord holds together. That cord could become nets, traps, or ties for tools. Almost none of it survives in the ground today because plant fiber rots away. None of this proves storytelling filled every rainy night, and it would be dishonest to say otherwise. But a rainy week did create the exact setting where stories tend to happen. A fire, darkness outside, and a group of people with nowhere to go. Modern hunter-gatherer groups studied by anthropologists often shift from practical daytime talk to stories and memories once night falls and the fire is lit. That is not proof ancient people did the same thing during a storm. It just shows the kind of setting that invites it. Being packed together for days was not always calm either. Small shelters meant smoke in your eyes, restless children, limited food, and no privacy at all. Somebody was always taking up too much room. Ancient humans were smart and social, but they were still human, and tight quarters test anyone's patience eventually. Over time, this pattern of getting stuck in place actually reshaped how people lived. Near the Sea of Galilee, hunter-gatherers built brush huts around 23,000 years ago at a site called Ohalo II. They kept hearths going, processed wild grains, and arranged their living space in a way that looks almost like a real home. That kind of effort only makes sense if a group plans to stay a while, maybe because rain and floods had made constant moving too risky. A single week of rain did not invent civilization, but across hundreds of thousands of years, it kept teaching the same lesson. The groups that made it through were the ones who repaired what broke, stayed close, and kept working even when they couldn't step outside. Today, a week of rain just means wet shoes and canceled plans. You order food, watch something, and complain about the noise on the roof. But the pull to gather indoors, fix what's broken, and stay near the people you trust is not new. It is the same instinct that once kept a family alive in a leaking cave, waiting for the fire to catch again and the sky to finally clear.